Welcome to the online course Essentials of Youth Policy, organised by the partnership between the European Commission and the Council of Europe in the field of youth.
Hello, I'm Florencia van Houdt. I'm the head of unit for youth programs and policy in the European Commission.
Good morning, Flora, and thank you for having this interview with us. We have a few questions for you, and the first would be about the main orientations in the youth field of the European Commission. What are they, please?
So the European Commission is indeed also conducting a youth policy, and you may wonder why, because youth policy first and foremost happens where young people are, which is at local level and not at the European policy level. We do two things. On the one hand, we support and work together with member states on a common agenda for youth policy, so that they can learn from one each other, learn from good practices, share evidence, share experiences. And on the other hand, we also make sure that in EU policy making, young people have a voice. And last but not least, through the Erasmus Plus program in its youth chapter, we support projects on the ground in a European context. So this can be youth exchanges, the European Voluntary Service, partnerships, and some other projects. Within that, these activities are mainly focused to invest in and empower young people through youth work, through youth organizations, and to encouraging youth participation. In the policy work, we have a 9-year strategy agreed together with the member states, and in that, obviously, we look for topics that are of shared interest, that respond to current needs in society. And for the moment, for instance, we have expert groups and activities around social inclusion, avoiding that young people alienate from society, ensuring that radicalization can be prevented and stopped, for instance. The strategy will be expiring in the end of next year, and that is why we declare 2017 as the year of listening. Because we don't want from Brussels, from this office, dream up what the challenges are for youth policy and what are the topics on the agenda, but we want to carefully look at evidence, talk to our partners, talk to our stakeholders, hear from young people, and on that basis of both the evidence, the facts, and the opinions we gather, have a very good grasp of what not only we, but what everybody else in Europe thinks should be the challenges for youth policy.
Laura, what challenges do you see in youth policy in Europe today?
As I said earlier, the Commission has declared 2017 as the year of listening in order to really understand what the challenges for the youth policy are in the future. We are also currently preparing a report in order to have the evidence to be really making a policy that is based on facts and evidence, and also on the input of our stakeholders and youth organizations, young people. But what we can already see is that we live in a changing world. Technological evolutions go faster and faster, and infiltrate basically all aspects of life, including our work and including youth policy. And this goes, on the one hand, for the profession of youth workers, for the work they deliver, how they deliver it, also the challenges that they need to discuss with young people, increasingly address challenges that happen in the digital world rather than just on the street or at home or in school. And this requires a different mindset for everyone, a different approach, and perhaps also a need to update our knowledge so we really understand what is that young people are facing when they go online, what are their fears, and how it impacts their daily life. And now I talk about fears and risks, and on the other hand, the digital will also give a lot of opportunities. And we should also be open to seize them. So this also requires our attention, in the sense that we need to look at how can we make good use of social media to spread information, to also collect information back. Because if we look at the potential of outreach through digital means, we can substantially increase the number of people we can reach as opposed to calling them in meetings.
Flor, what would be your message for those who would like to engage more in youth policy in Europe today?
My message is simple: engage. You can have impact. Maybe some people feel afraid that what they have to say is not relevant or important, or that it's not being heard. And it is true that a politician or a policymaker or somebody in an office cannot simply say, this young person has asked me that, so let's do that. Policy making is far more complex, and there are far more things at play. And sometimes this makes that the results are not instantly seen, but that doesn't mean they're not there. We put a lot of effort in creating mechanisms for dialogue, because we want to hear from young people. And we don't want to hear what we already know and what we have learned from research. We actually are very interested to hear about the concerns of young people, their innovative ideas, their crazy ideas. I mean, the best innovations come sometimes from dreaming, and we would like to hear young people's dreams and like to see how we can help achieve them.
We hope this video contributed to your learning about youth policy.